All right, hello everyone. We are back with our backup match. So we have Prince Cortez versus Joseph Moreno. I have their life totals wrong. Uh, Joseph, Joseph and Prince are both people who play here very frequently, but Joe is well known for being on Dredge. But today he has decided to sleeve up Grixis Delver. So we will see how acquainted he is with this deck. He was saying that he is not particularly comfortable with it yet, but here he is at 4-1 looking at it winning it in. So he seems to be doing quite all right. So we're going to take a look at the sideboards real quick while these players are shuffling up. Prince, as I said, is on Goblins. His sideboard is 2 Pyroblasts, 1 Painful Truths, 1 Sulfuric Vortex, 1 Pithing Needle, 1 Ancient Grudge, 1 Dark Blast, 1 Cabal Therapy, 2 Baleful Strix, 2 Surgical Extraction, 1 Engineered Explosives, 1 Fork Bolt, 1 Winter Orb. I think in this matchup he's going to be looking to bring in the Fork Bolt for sure, along with the Pyroblasts. Other than that, I don't expect to see too much come in. He might decide that he wants the Dark Blast and possibly the Cabal Therapy, but this seems like the kind of match where Prince wants to exert a lot of pressure. He doesn't need to be weighing his deck down with a bunch of interactive cards. What he really wants to do is put Grixis Delver on the back foot, which obviously isn't the easiest thing to do, but he seems likely to try. All right, so the players have decided to keep. We have Prince going Mountain, Aether Vial. Pretty good start for him. Gets around, all this counter magic, and it gives him the opportunity to hide what his threats are, not let Joseph operate with full information, which I think is secretly the power that Aether Vial offers you. All right, Joe's going to open up with a Gitaxian Probe, and we're going to take a look at the grip. So Prince has Mountain, Goblin Ringleader, Goblin Matron, Wasteland, and Cavern of Souls. So Prince has a lot of ways of making sure his creatures don't get countered, but not a ton of action to do in the early game. It's going to be turn 3 that we see the first creature unless he finds some more action. This might be a good time for Joe then, if he can find something to do to get a threat into play before goblins start flooding the board. So Joe's going to ponder his play here, think it over. I like how he still has his graveyard in the same place that he has it for Dredge. So he's just going to play a fetch land and pass, which suggests to me that he doesn't have a particular threat to play. All right. Land pass from Prince. Joe's going to untap. Let's see what he has going on. It's kind of hard to see his grip, but I do see a ponder in there. He might fire that off. Yeah, it seems like he's going to crack his fetch now. Get an Underground Sea. And I think if you're in Joseph's seat, you just want to play a threat. You need to get something onto the board. Obviously, the Goblins deck isn't one where you necessarily need to beat a clock, but you want to put the pressure on just from the nature of playing Grixis Delver. Names Goblin Matron with this Cabal Therapy, and as it turns out, Prince had drawn one for the turn. Pretty rough spot to be in. Prince is now left with double land Goblin Ringleader. Joe, let's see how Joe follows it up. He's going to play a Tropical Island and cast a Ponder. All right, so doing a lot of digging. We see a Delver of Secrets along with, I think that's a Lightning Bolt and a Wasteland. Joseph might find, this is a kind of a tough one. So the Wasteland isn't particularly good. The Lightning Bolt is fine, but he doesn't have a red source. Meanwhile, the Delver is the card that he wants to cast as soon as possible. So he's going to keep it on top, keep his Wasteland, or draw the Wasteland, and pass it back. Prince deciding whether he wants to tick up the vial. Yeah, he's going to bring it on up. I think if you're in Prince's seat, you need to fire off this Wasteland now. You don't have a lot to do. The vial is going to get you there only a turn slower than the Ringleader, and you're hoping to draw more action anyway. So you need to slow down your opponent. And yeah, Prince seems to agree. He's going to get rid of that Underground Sea, really limit Joseph's options, because despite the fact that there is a green source in play, this is really a Grixis deck. There, I don't believe, are any green cards in his sideboard. Just Engineered Explosives and Ancient Grudge can, oh, along with Painful Truth, can use the green mana. It's mostly there for the activation of Deathrite Shaman. So this has effectively left Joe with only blue mana, and hopefully for Prince, or at least Prince is hoping, I think, that he can leverage that into enough time to find some more goblins. Joe's going to lead with a Ponder. Let's see the top three. See that same Lightning Bolt as we saw before. Also a Volcanic Island, which is pretty important, and a Tombstalker. I'm going to go ahead and draw Volcanic Island. And I expect that we'll see a Delver of Secrets come out. Yep, here we are. Going to cast... Oh, maybe. Yep. Going to cast that Delver of Secrets and get a threat into play. He has Prince in a position where he's on the back foot. Prince doesn't have much. It doesn't have any action. Is hoping for his draw step to pull him out of this, and so Joe is just looking to close the game out. I know we're looking at 20 life on the other side of the table, but this is the time to try to end the game. Prince, however, did find a Tarfire, so he's going to pull that threat off the board. And honestly, that was a pretty good rip for Prince. Now it gives him an opportunity to play the Ringleader next turn, which means that he will be able to reload his grip, hopefully for him, and get him back in the game. Joe needs to find some action. That Tombstalker is nice, but he doesn't have any black sources at the moment, which makes it pretty tough to cast, as it turns out. Alright, Joe is tapping some manas. Not really sure if he wants to cast this. Okay, so he found a Young Pyromancer, which is pretty good. Oh, I see. So Joe is deciding whether he wants to Wasteland this turn or if he wants to cast more spells for the Pyromancer. There's something to be said for either case. I think he wants to Wasteland here. This way he has the opportunity of countering any creatures that Prince gets off of the Ringleader. He can't stop the Ringleader in that Aether Vial can tick up to 4. But any subsequent goblins can be stopped, assuming that Joe has counter magic available, and I do see a Daze in hand, along with a Dismember, so that's pretty good if you're in Joe's seat. Alright, so Joe's going to flashback, Cabal Therapy, probably taking the Ringleader. Yep, and things just went from bad to worse for Prince. Alright, so we're going to Wasteland the Cavern of Souls. And if you're Joe, I think right now you're pretty happy about where this game went. Your opponent's on Gem Palm Incinerator in hand, and that's it. Got an Aether Vial out there, sure, that's fine, but not much to do with it. A couple of basic lands and just no action. Meanwhile, you have your primary threat. Oh, but alright, so here we have a Pyrokinesis coming out from Prince. This will give him the opportunity to trade his hand for that Young Pyromancer, at least get the threat off the table. This is, again, Prince's only real way of hoping to win this game. Hope your draw steps are good enough, and make sure the threats don't kill you. Step 2 was accomplished. He made sure that threat didn't kill him, but still needs to find something to do. Alright, well, found a Pile Driver. That is one a turn, friends. Oh, we've got a reader. Alright, so Joe is going to daze pay 2 mana to daze that Pile Driver. And go ahead and pass it back to Joe. See the draw. I think that was a True Name Nemesis? No, this is a Delver of Secrets. It's hard to see. And it's a Gitaxian Probe. So he's going to cast that. Going to take a look at all 0 cards. Try to find a new one. All right, Brainstorm. That is the specific card that if Joe was looking like, I get to pick any card in my deck, that's what I want to draw. Brainstorm's got to be it. Gonna hope to find a fetch land, and he did. So you can shuffle that Tombstalker that I think he still has, or did he already get rid of that? So you can shuffle away some poor cards here. Think he found another Lightning Bolt. Considers he doesn't need it. Alright, so he figured out the 2 he wants to put back. Let's slam him on top, play his fetch land, and just pass it back. He did find another Daze, which means he has insulation against some of Prince's options. But honestly, I think Prince is just needs to use that Vial. He casts. So this is the thing about Aether Vial. It's a very powerful card, and it gets around counter magic, and you can play cards for free. But if you get prevented from doing that for whatever reason, for example, you just don't have cards in your hand, you paid 1 mana to discard a card, and we're seeing the downside here. If you don't have anything to put into play, that card doesn't do anything. All right, so end of turn Joe's going to fetch, finds a wasteland. Not going to do a whole lot here, though colors are unlocked now that he's found his Underground Sea. But without a threat, Prince has a lot of time. Obviously, not everything works. Oh, I think we have a... Oh, so I missed it. So you put a Ringleader into play, hits Siege Gang Commander and Goblin Sharpshooter, and it's going to come on in for 2, putting Joe down to 16. So now Joe's in a bit of a spot. The Ringleader is easy enough to pick up, but Siege Gang Commander is coming down next turn off of the Aether Vial, and it's just too diverse in the threats to be able to answer satisfactorily. You don't have you don't have a way of picking up multiple things. Now, Joe does have a Forked Bolt and a Lightning Bolt in hand, if I'm not mistaken, so he can pick off the Siege Gang Commander and then a couple of tokens. But it's a lot of resources to spend over the course of multiple turns to deal with most of his card. Alright, so Joe's going to... Oh, couldn't think it over. Alright, it's going to fire off the Fork Bolt, hitting the Goblin Ringleader, and that's a bit surprising to me. I expected that he was going to leave up Lightning Bolt for the Siege Gang and then untap in Forked Bolt. But I guess if you were looking to Forked Bolt the 2/2 anyway, you might as well fire it off now. Alright, so Prince going to play his Goblin Lackey, say go. And suddenly Joe's a little bit on the defensive. He had all this time, but because he wasn't able to stick a threat, not for lack of trying, obviously, Prince has been able to claws back way back into the game, and just Goblins, as it turns out, are kind of a nuisance if you can't deal with them. All right, mulling over the Ponder. Oh, found a good. All right, he found his configuration. Draws a card. I believe that was a Dismember. All right, so he has a way of removing this. He's going to cast a Young Pyromancer. Likely pass it back. Yeah. So we're just going to see an activation. Put Siege Gang Command of Aether Vials. Put Siege Gang Commander into play. Get a bunch of goblins. I expect that Joe will still on end step. No. Oh yeah, still on end step. Go ahead and dismember that Siege Gang Commander, which will reduce a lot of the incoming damage, but that's still 4 life to pay to do it. Alright. Makes himself a token. Now we'll see an untap from Prince. And this game got pretty interesting, I have to say. There's Prince was in a pretty bad spot, but if your opponent doesn't end the game, keep drawing cards. You might find a way out of it, and it seems that Prince is very much not dead here. Alright, so Prince is going to cast Pyrokinesis, exiling his Goblin Sharpshooter. It's going to get dazed, but that's going to just make another token to be able to block, send into the red zone, token trades for a Lackey, and Joe's going to go down to 9, having taken 3. So Joe's going to untap. He's found a Deathrite Shaman. Now, Deathrite's pretty good here. It blocks pretty reasonably. It gives him the opportunity to gain life since he already has that Tropical Island. And can eventually start to drain Prince, though Prince is still up at 20, which is not what Joe really wants out of this matchup. Alright, seems Prince has found a 3rd land. Not particularly what was holding him back. Oh, I guess it was, seeing as though he has a Goblin Chieftain Just as Joe thought he found a decent blocker for this, in come 8 damage from Goblins. Oh, but Joe's going to Lightning Bolt the Chieftain off the board, block a token, take 2 down to 7, and we're... See, this is what makes Legacy so great. Tons of back and forth. Never know what's going to happen. I probably should have known that was going to happen. All right, so just going to untap. Still has another Lightning Bolt in hand, so one more threat can be dealt with. But he's going to tap that Volcanic Island now. Play Young Pyromancer number 3. All right, Prince going to take a draw. Now, if Prince didn't find anything here, the game might be back in Joe's favor. Yeah, just going to send it back. And it seems that Joseph might have found the threat, finally found a threat that could last long enough to do its job. So on end step, Joseph's going to exile Goblin Chieftain, put himself back up to 9, keep himself nice and healthy. At this point, I think it's right not to focus on their opponent's life total. Your opponent's not going to die for a while unless you have pretty significant control of the board. So might as well rule out shenanigans and make sure you don't just die. So we're going to have a brainstorm here. Didn't see the draws. We're going to put back Lightning Bolt and one other. I think that was Flooded Strand. And cast Delver of Secrets. Now, he might be signaling to Prince here that there aren't red spells coming, but I don't think that matters. Prince is the kind of deck where he's just going to run your cards into yours. If they get there, they get there. If not, well, all right, game 2. Or next game, as it were. All right. So we're going to see another Deathrite Shaman. And it's just piling on for Prince. This is why blue is so good in Legacy. You get enough time, you can, find the right selection of cards. Because Joe's just all game been turning whatever cards he has into the cards he wants. Interesting draw from Prince. He did find his Kiki Jiki Mirror Breaker, but he doesn't have anything to do with it just yet. All right, so we see the Lightning Bolt flip the Delver just as Joe drew it up. So there are some draws here that Prince is looking to where Prince can look to capitalize on that Kiki Jiki, but his top card needs to be pretty good. Or his top few cards need to be pretty good to salvage this game. All right, knocked Prince down to 17. Send it back. And I didn't see. I think that was a Goblin Lackey, or is that a Tuk Tuk Scrapper? All right, so Prince is going to play that Plateau. Tuk Tuk Scrapper doesn't do much here. I'm curious what he thought he needed to bring it in against. Maybe just having good ways of getting rid of... Oh, I thought there would be... Oh, there are not... Baleful Strixes in the main board. Okay, so it might have just been, in case you bring in, Engineered Explosives or Winter Orb or Pithy Needle or something like that. Just a bit of insulation. Alright, so Joe going to do the Deathrite Mamba. Untap. Joe seems to be pretty solidly in control here. There's not a lot that can happen to him now. Obviously, he is out of things to do, out of cards, out of interaction, but he spent all that interaction to get to this point, the exact point he wanted. Your opponent's on not a lot, you're on kind of a lot, and it's just a matter of time. Your opponent needs to get real lucky to win from here, and you still have draws to really lock them out. All right. See an untap. Prince thinking it over, trying to see if this card affects the board. right. Doesn't do anything, so we're just going to see. I think Prince has one turn. One turn here. One turn to find the perfect answer. I think Pyrokinesis or Bust is what we're looking at here. But I think even Pyrokinesis doesn't do anything. All right, so we're just going to send in with the team. Prince is probably likely going to block a token and Pyromancer. Take 3, 4, 5 down to 3. And then Deathrite down to 1. But he's going to activate his Aether Vial and put Kiki Jiki into play. Give himself another blocker. And thereby another life. Alright, pondering over blocks. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and take 4. Down to 4. Activate Deathrite. Oh, okay. I guess I have to wrong time. We're going to get a handshake. So Joe Moreno likely going to find himself in our top 8. Hard to say, considering there was a pretty healthy amount of scuffle in the top 8. We expected a lot more players to draw in, but it was not a clean cut. So we are going to take a break now, and we will be back with our top 8 as soon as that happens. Thanks for staying with us, and we'll see you after the break.